Winter storm on the way to us really in just a matter of hours now. What do people need to be doing as we have this last kind of final prep time?
Well, this morning is your best time to prepare as we head into the afternoon hours. That's when we start to get a round of sleet on the way and then freezing rain. The big problem is that'll leave a glaze of ice on the ground, not only impacting travel, but also impacting your power, as even just a bit of ice can increase the weight on trees up to 30 times. Weather warned days Saturday through Tuesday as we get an ice storm and these cold temperatures following. So ice storm warning throughout Monday. That's for everywhere within our viewing area. And let's talk about ice, because you're going to be hearing a lot about the measurements of ice from our meteorologists throughout the day today. As we get a 1/4 inch, that is limited in terms of impacts, destructive as you head toward a 1/2 inch. That's where we start to see a chance for numerous power outages throughout the area, and you get that coat of ice on vehicles and also windshields as well. So as we get to above a 1/2 inch, those are crippling conditions. You're going to hear this word a lot throughout the day today and also in the news. That leads to major tree damage and also a chance for widespread and long power outages. So I'll show you our models right now. They have those same definitions up top to make it easier. Crippling conditions are possible as we head toward the northern upstate and also that North Carolina and South Carolina state line, also for some of the foothills as well. And even the GFS model shows this too. So make sure that you are being prepared and starting to get prepared throughout the day today if you have not already. Starting to see some snow, but don't let that excite you. We've got that sleet and ice on the way, and I'm tracking that for you coming up.
Thank you so much, Julia. We'll check back in with you here in just a little while. Well, even with an additional nearly 20,000 workers standing by throughout the Carolinas, Duke Energy is warning its customers of possible power outages for several days. But a utility spokesperson we talked with earlier says while crews get ready to respond, residents should be ready too. Our News 13's Mark Liverman reports.
As the sun started to set, support staff were standing by for the storm.
We're going to be having 18,000 crew members in the Carolinas ready to respond as of tonight, this evening, Friday night.
Duke spokesperson Carolyn Fountain says crews are coming in from Canada along with 27 states. Just a 1/4 inch of ice, enough to bring tree limbs down onto power lines.
Once you get to about a 1/2 inch of ice, it actually starts impacting the lines themselves.
That's when Duke turns to these trucks.
Well, you see how much gear and tech goes into each one of these trucks. The Asheville area alone is going to be getting more than 100 extra trucks just for this storm.
We have damage assessors coming in. We have tree trimmers. You know, think about trees or limbs on lines. We first need to assess the damage, clear that damage in order to then restore those lines.
Another tool in Duke's arsenal, what Fountain calls smart self-healing technology.
It helps reroute that power to those available lines to the customers that can be restored.
The utility also guided in part by lessons learned from Helene.
Following Helene, we were able to not only repair, but also upgrade a lot of the systems, substations, poles, and wires, making the grid even more resilient than it was before that storm.
But Duke needs its customers to be resilient too, by being prepared.
To repair their emergency kits, having non-perishable items, water, charging all of their devices, getting those extra batteries.
Don't wait until it's too late.
If you depend on a medical device that depends on electricity, having a backup plan.
And that was Mark Liverman reporting. Once the storm does hit, make sure to keep close tabs on elderly neighbors or anyone you may know who may be more vulnerable in a possible power outage. This is a live look at the Duke Energy outage map. At the moment, there's not much to report, but this will be a great tool to monitor outages should they occur over the weekend. It also details how long it can take crews to restore power, as well as gives customers a way to report outages and issues. Transylvania County emergency crews and leaders have also been preparing, continuously monitoring the threat for severe snow and ice. Officials are urging all residents to stay home and off the roads this weekend. Some areas throughout the county could see some of the highest ice totals in western North Carolina. Now, if you do have to leave your house, emergency management says residents should have safety kits in their cars with food, water, blankets, and flashlights.
One of the things we're doing is encouraging our public to be prepared. We want all of our residents to be where they need to be by noon tomorrow and to be prepared to be at home and possibly without power for up to 72 hours. Because that ice on the roads with cold temperatures is going to make it challenging to get those trucks out there to restore power.
In case of emergencies, folks are urged to call 911, but the county asks if you're wanting to report power outages, please contact your provider directly. And schools in Transylvania County have moved to virtual learning days to start the week next week. Students will learn from home on Monday and Tuesday. That decision was made out of an abundance of caution for students, parents, and staff with the impending storm. We have a list of alerts running across the bottom of your screen throughout our newscast this morning. And UNC Asheville has canceled classes for Monday and Tuesday and will remain in condition 2 of its weather policy. That means non-mandatory employees must leave or not come to campus. Western Carolina University also canceling classes on Monday. The university says it will reassess the schedule for Tuesday over the weekend. Additionally, Mars Hill University has canceled classes for Monday. AB Tech has canceled all classes and events for the weekend. And News 13 is your source for winter weather updates. While special programming on WLOS will preempt our regular 6 p.m. newscast, you can still watch News 13 at 6 on My 40. We'll also stream the newscast live on the WLOS YouTube page. For the latest updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or visit our website, WLOS.com. After the break, how other parts of the country are making their final preps as the storm moves across the Midwest and South. And the message coming from officials up and down the East Coast. From the south to the plains to the Midwest to the Northeast, officials say they're preparing for the historic winter storm, and residents should prepare too.
We have about 70,000 tons of salt ready to go, and our 275 plows with more equipment on standby.
I urge everyone listening and watching to begin to plan ahead.
The widespread storm is expected to blast the U.S. with hazardous ice and heavy snow. Meteorologists are warning of dangerous travel for days. Power outages and tree damage could impact 2/3 of the nation's population. States are treating roads and staging snow removal equipment, along with stocking up on essentials, protecting pipes, and charging electronics. Officials say the most important thing Americans can do is hunker down.
This is a time where we want to make sure that city workers have every ability they can to deliver on their job. And what makes it easier for them to do their job is the more New Yorkers that stay home.
Unless you have to travel, stay off the roads.
Wind chills as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit are already moving into Chicago and other cities in the Midwest. The storm will first dump freezing rain in the south and then dump snow on the northeast later in the weekend.
Good morning to you. Temperatures right now are currently at and around freezing. We have cloudy skies overall all throughout the area. You see those 20s and 30s on your screen. Now, afternoon temperatures not increasing that much. Here in Asheville, not increasing at all from what we're seeing this morning. Around 32 degrees, Newland 30, and also Pickens 38 degrees. Now, reason why it's cold and we're going to see that sustained cold throughout the day is we have a high pressure system that's rotating clockwise. That will bring some cold air from the northeast straight to us here in the mountains. And on top of that, we do have that snowstorm that's on the way. Here's a closer look where you can see some areas right now, like in Tennessee close by to us, already experiencing that snowfall. So many alerts all throughout the nation, just over 2,000 miles. And for us here at home, we are currently under an ice storm warning. So that's what we're going to be focusing on, especially throughout the next few days, is talking about that ice and chance for freezing rain to cause a glaze on the ground, could impact travel and also power. I'll dive deeper into that coming up in a few minutes.
After the break, the issues within certain federal bills that could lead to a possible government shutdown by the end of the month. Plus, why this ice storm is bringing back some painful memories of a potentially similar storm from 2 decades ago. Now agencies across North Carolina are making sure they're prepared. The deadline to avoid another government shutdown is January 31st, and that is less than a week away. Congress is racing to keep the lights on. The House took a big step on Thursday after passing a bill funding the Department of Homeland Security. Most of the necessary appropriations bills have passed, but some Democrats want the Senate to block the DHS bill, urging senators to make changes, reining in ICE. Republicans expect things to go smoothly.
If I were a member of the United States Senate, I would not vote for funding this ICE. I would not vote for funding ICE. That's what I would do.
Homeland was tight because, the Democrats want to defund ICE and DHS. But, I think it's going to go over to the Senate. I think that there will be enough votes over there to get it through. I don't think they have the appetite.
The DHS bill has become a major issue, especially after multiple clashes between ICE and protesters in Minnesota. And as travelers prepare to hit the skies this weekend, the major winter storm making its way towards eastern Carolina is threatening to bring delays and cancellations. Looking to keep operations running smoothly, the Pitt Greenville Airport is gearing up ahead of the storm. Prep work began back in October with winter operations meetings to discuss the many obstacles winter weather could bring. This is an inside look at the airport's winter equipment, from snow plows and brooms that attach to trucks to spreaders filled with a mixture known as New Deal that eliminates any ice on the runway.
Winter storms are pretty much like an aircraft emergency. I mean, it's all hands on deck. It's, you're doing everything you can to try to keep the airport open, and most important, keep it safe.
Another important part of winter prep, the snow desk. It's where crews can track the flights coming in and out, along with the weather, keeping everyone informed. And this is a live look at FlightAware. You can see Dallas-Fort Worth Airport has almost 2/3 of their flights canceled for today. Meanwhile, Charlotte-Douglas has roughly 30% of their flights canceled for today. But if we go to tomorrow, that number for cancellations more than doubles. As you can see at the top of your screen, the number of total cancellations within, into, or out of the U.S. is over 5,000 total flights. And residents in Charlotte, North Carolina are bracing for what could be a crippling ice storm this weekend. As Joe Bruno reports, city officials fear the storm could rival one the city experienced decades ago, costing tens of millions of dollars in damage.
This is why emergency management officials are so afraid of this weekend's weather. History is their guide, and in 2002, a similar ice storm shut down Charlotte for days. The ice toppling trees onto cars, from small branches to big limbs. It knocked out power to essential businesses like pharmacies and homes.
You feel how cold it is in here.
I'm staying in a hotel right now. Just too cold in there. We have got hot water, but that's about it.
2 decades later, it could be deja vu.
For those of you that were here in 2002, that was, up until that time, the busiest day the Charlotte Fire Department has ever experienced.
Charlotte Mecklenburg Emergency Management Director White Graham was a rookie firefighter at the time and says it was so busy they couldn't keep track of calls.
I remember walking in Fire Station 3 at, 3 or 4 in the morning, and all the firefighters were laid out on the floor because they've been up all night.
Duke Energy says over the past 2 decades, forecasting has gotten better. The electric grid and poles have been strengthened, and technology is in place that can automatically detect power outages and quickly reroute power to restore service faster.
We've installed self-healing technology, and that technology can automatically reroute power around a problem to restore service faster for a customer when an outage occurs.
Good morning to you. I'm tracking the winter storm that will bring ice to western North Carolina and the upstate. This could lead to delays and closures, and also power and travel issues all throughout the area as this ice accumulates. So make sure to download our Skywatch weather app, scan that QR code so you can get the latest information even if the power goes out. We have an ice storm warning. That's for everyone within our viewing area. So we have a chance for that significant icing to be in place pretty much everywhere. You want to stay at home, especially throughout Sunday into Monday. Get your last minute preparations done this morning. Here's a look at our models where you can see we have some snowfall, but don't get too excited. Snowfall is pretty much only just for this morning. Then we start to get that sleet as we head into the afternoon and evening around Waynesville and Brevard, as you see there in purple, and also Silva. Freezing rain then makes its way into the area, and this is really where we start to see the effects of icing into your Saturday night. It'll leave a glaze of ice on the ground, whereas sleet bounces off. So we're going to start to see that ice accumulate, and driving will get much harder. Into those later hours of the night and into your Sunday morning, still a chance for some more of this freezing rain, especially as temperatures are below freezing. So the rain freezes on contact, but for some areas like in our southwestern mountains, you have a chance to avoid some more of this freezing rain, specifically because you have temperatures that will be warmer than that. Then we get rain into your Sunday afternoon and cloudy skies on the way. Temperatures will take a dip. So for this weekend, make sure to hunker down by this afternoon. And with that chance for sleet, we've got freezing rain as well, and that's where we see the highest impact is that rain. So let's talk about ice potential. You can see we have a chance for some destructive impacts around Highlands into Cashers, above a ½ inch of ice. For our central area, around Asheville, above a ½ inch as well. This is going to cause those travel impacts, could cause some power outages as well, widespread. So that could be possible throughout the next few days. And a look toward the northern upstate and southern upstate, northern upstate getting a bit more of those totals. Talking about ice accretion as we head into that above a ½ inch rain range, that is crippling. That could down those power lines, adding about 500 pounds to the power line, which is the equivalent of a North Carolina black bear getting ready to hibernate for winter. It leads to those power outages, and also roads will become impassable. Now, to top that off, as we head into Sunday and into Monday, those temperatures drop, and also feels like temperatures will be in single digits come Monday morning. Come Tuesday morning, we've got dangerous wind chills. They'll be in the negatives. Of course, best thing to do is don't be scared. Just be prepared. Now is the time to gather any of those last minute items you may need to stay warm during this time. So for weather warned days on the way, bundle up, stay warm, and stay safe.
The Stars were out in Charlotte last night for the NASCAR Hall of Fame ceremony. One of those legends traces her roots back to here in the mountains. We'll tell you about her after the break. Yesterday, Kurt Busch, Harry Gant, and Ray Hedrick took their places in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. But as sports director Chris Womack shows us, sharing the night with them was a Canton native who's made a life out of documenting the accomplishments of the sports legends.
The NASCAR Hall of Fame is where the greats of the sport sit forever enshrined together, an exclusive club that added 3 more members tonight. However, beyond success, there's not many common threads that can really link nearly 80 years of drivers, crew chiefs, owners, and others from around the sport. One of those, for many of them, could be Deb Williams, though, a journalist who has spent nearly 50 years covering the sport, a journey that started in Canton, North Carolina, ending here in Charlotte, with her being recognized next to some of the very names that she's covered.
To look back at how we just had a passion, you know, Haywood County, you have a passion for football and cars. And it just seems unbelievable to be in the situation that I'm in tonight.
These days, women in sports is nothing to really bat an eye at. However, when Williams was getting her start, it was anything but the norm.
When I was about 12 years old, Daddy and I were sitting on the back stretch at Bristol, and he pointed out Wendell Scott. And he said, now watch this. And Wendell came down the back stretch, parked in the pits, turned the car off, got out, worked on his car, got back in, fastened buckle back in, went back out into the race. And my dad turned to me and said, now see, you can do anything you want to do if you want to do it bad enough.
And if you think Williams is going to slow down now that she's got her name in the NASCAR Hall of Fame, you can think again. She'll be back at it covering the Daytona 500 in February. At the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte, Chris Womack, News 13 Sports.
Thank you, Chris. This is a live look this morning at downtown Asheville from our Buncombe County Courthouse camera. We'll have more on when and what impacts we can see in just a few minutes at 7:30.
Now, from Western North Carolina's news leader, this is News 13 this morning.
Across the nation, people are gearing up for the havoc this ice storm is expected to bring. Forecasters say this weekend's system could dump up to a half-inch of ice across the area, raising concerns about fallen trees and widespread power outages. This is why emergency management officials are so worried of this weekend's weather. For many city officials and maybe some of you at home, the threat feels like deja vu. A similar ice storm in 2002 shut down areas in North Carolina for days, damaging homes, blocking roads, and cutting power to thousands.
For those of you that were here in 2002, that was, up until that time, the busiest day the Charlotte Fire Department has ever experienced.
Officials say that storm overwhelmed first responders and caused millions of dollars in damage.
And while utilities say the power grid is stronger now, emergency managers warn ice remains one of the most destructive winter threats.
And that's why News 13 has you covered before, during, and after the storm. Good morning and thank you for joining us here on News 13. It is Saturday, January 24th. I'm Taylor Thompson.
And I'm meteorologist Julia Haley.
Julia, let's just get right to it. We are getting closer and closer to those final hours of prep before we expect the ice storm to arrive. What should people be doing right now?
Right now, get that last cold weather gear that you need, anything from those blankets to jackets to extra food. I suggest non-perishables and also water. Get that water ready as well. Some people do a gallon per person per day. So we have that ice storm warning for our whole viewing area. And the reason why this is significant is because we have a chance for some areas to reach totals of above a half an inch. So let's go over that ice accretion because these totals are something you're going to hear throughout the next few days as our meteorologists keep you covered with the latest info. So below a fourth an inch, that's where we have that limited impact. Some spots of ice on roads and also isolated power outages from about above a fourth an inch to a little bit below a half an inch. That's where we have destructive impacts, could be some numerous power outages possible, dangerous bridges as well. And above a half an inch, that's where we get the crippling impacts. You'll hear this word a lot. Roads become impassable. We have widespread power outages. That's really when you don't want to be outside. So these next few days, make sure that you are ready to stay inside and off those roads, not only to keep yourself safe, but to keep others safe as well. Here's a look at one of our models. You can see there destructive to crippling ice is expected around the North Carolina and South Carolina state line. And I've got more information on this ice for you coming up.
Thank you, Julia. Well, as the Carolinas brace for this winter storm in just a matter of a few hours, Duke Energy says it's bringing in an additional 18,000 crew members to help respond to power outages. Duke spokesperson Caroline Fountain says those crews are coming in from 27 states as well as Canada. She says the utility company will have an extra 100 trucks staged in the Asheville area alone. Duke will also relay damage assessors, tree trimmers, and what Fountain calls smart self-healing technology that's used to help reroute power to customers when other lines in the area are down. The energy company is also guided in part by some of the lessons learned during Helene.
Following Helene, we were able to not only repair, but also upgrade a lot of the systems, substations, poles, and wires, making the grid even more resilient than it was before that storm.
Fountain also explained that just a quarter inch of ice is enough to bring tree limbs down onto power lines. Half an inch is when the ice starts impacting the lines themselves. Great Smoky Mountains National Park is closing roads and facilities ahead of the winter storm. The park shut down several roads and facilities last night around 7, with closures remaining in effect today until staff can safely assess conditions. And officials say higher elevation roads are especially dangerous in winter weather, and they're urging visitors to avoid the park until conditions improve. The roads listed on your screen will be closed starting this morning at 10. An ART bus service will be suspended starting today at noon and remain down through Sunday. City officials say all 37 water storage tanks are being topped off and kept at full capacity during the storm. Several city facilities will also be closed, including all parks and recreation community centers and the Western North Carolina Nature Center. Officials say updates will be shared as conditions change. And let's take a look now at the storm impacts we're already seeing at airports this morning. We're monitoring these numbers live. Up to 70% of flights at the Nashville International Airport are being canceled today, and for Charlotte, it's up to 30%. And News 13 is your source for winter weather updates. While special programming on WLOS will preempt our regular 6 p.m. newscast, you can still watch News 13 at 6 on My 40. We'll also stream the newscast live on the WLOS YouTube page. For the latest updates, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or visit WLOS.com. Temperatures are dropping and plumbers are already swamped. Later, how to avoid frozen pipes before they wreck your home and your wallet.
And tracking that winter storm, where it is and where it's going, coming up. Check this out. Winter weather alerts span over 2,000 miles across the United States as we track this winter storm. And for us here in western North Carolina and the upstate, we're under an ice storm warning. That's because we have the potential to see significant icing, which means you're going to want to stay inside for the next few days and not get on those roads. Also, a chance for power outages are possible. Currently, that low pressure system is crossing Colorado. You can see some of that snowfall as well, some more low pressure there toward the southern regions of the United States. And with that, right now, snow is falling in many areas. And for us here at home, we've got some cold temperatures on the way. That's because we have high pressure giving way to a case of cold air damming as that air from the north brings the cooler air to our area. Cloudy skies and some of that snowfall already making its way into the mountains. Expect these cold temperatures to stick around. Like I said, we do have cold air damming throughout the area from the northeast. Afternoon temperatures, not too much of a change. So bundle up. Asheville, high of 32, Marion 35, and even into Bryson City, 40 degrees, Greenville 38. And I'm tracking not only that winter storm, but ice impacts here at home in a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Julia. Several schools and universities across the region are changing schedules ahead of this weekend's winter weather. Western Carolina University has suspended classes Monday at the Cullowhee campus and the Biltmore instructional site. University operations will be under suspended operations through Monday night. Transylvania County schools will move to virtual learning Monday and Tuesday. Greenville County schools will hold an e-learning day Monday with all activities canceled through Monday. Officials say schedules will be reassessed as conditions improve. Snow, sleet, freezing rain, they may look alike, but one of them can turn your street into a sheet of ice. Later, we'll break down the difference and what it means for your safety. The deadline to avoid another government shutdown is January 31st, and that is less than a week away. Congress is racing to keep the lights on. The House took a big step on Thursday after passing a bill funding the Department of Homeland Security. Most of the necessary appropriations bills have passed, but some Democrats want the Senate to block the DHS bill, urging senators to make changes reining in ICE. Republicans expect things to go smoothly.
If I were a member of the United States Senate, I would not vote for funding this ICE. I would not vote for funding ICE. That's what I would do.
Homeland was tight because, the Democrats want to defund ICE and DHS. But, I think it's going to go over to the Senate. I think that there will be enough votes over there to get it through. I don't think they have the appetite.
And the DHS bill has become a major issue, especially after multiple clashes between ICE and protesters in Minnesota.
You may hear about ICE totals in the forecast this weekend and think it doesn't sound like much, but when it comes to ICE, it doesn't take a lot to cause problems. Under 1/10 of an inch, it's a light glaze. You may see some ice on trees and power lines. The biggest issue is travel, with slick sidewalks and spotty, slick roads. Once ice reaches around 1/4 inch, impacts become more problematic. This is where ice storm warning criteria begins. Vehicles receive a coating and bridges become dangerous. Trees and power lines can start to fail, leading to isolated outages. At 1/2 inch or more, we see widespread tree damage, impassable roads, and power outages that can last for days. Even though the numbers sound small, the impacts can be big. Just 1/2 inch can add about 500 pounds to a single power line. Ice can increase the weight on tree branches by up to 30 times. Before an ice storm, make sure to charge phones and backup batteries. Have food and water ready. Avoid travel if possible as the storm passes.
Snow, sleet, freezing rain, they may look alike, but one can turn your street into a sheet of ice. We'll break down the difference and what it means for your safety. Stay with us. From the south to the plains, to the Midwest, to the Northeast, officials say they're preparing for the historic winter storm, and residents should prepare too.
We have about 70,000 tons of salt ready to go, and our 275 plows with more equipment on standby.
I urge everyone listening and watching to begin to plan ahead.
The widespread storm is expected to blast the U.S. with hazardous ice and heavy snow. Meteorologists are warning of dangerous travel for days, power outages, and tree damage. It could impact 2/3 of the nation's population, along with stocking up on essentials, protecting pipes, and charging electronics. Officials say the most important thing Americans can do is hunker down.
This is a time where we want to make sure that city workers have every ability they can to deliver on their job. And what makes it easier for them to do their job is the more New Yorkers that stay home.
Unless you have to travel, stay off the roads.
Wind chills as low as -40 degrees Fahrenheit are already moving into Chicago and other cities in the Midwest. The storm will first dump freezing rain in the south and then dump snow on the northeast later in the weekend. And snow, sleet, and freezing rain, they can all look similar, but they affect travel very differently. Snow falls and stays snow, reducing visibility. Sleet melts and refreezes before it hits the ground, creating slippery roads. But freezing rain, that is the most dangerous. That's because it freezes on contact, coating roads, trees, and power lines in ice, making travel nearly impossible and increasing outage risk.
I'm tracking the winter storm that is bringing ice to western North Carolina and the upstate. And with that, also bringing power and travel issues as we head into the next few days. So make sure to download our Skywatch weather app, scan that QR code, and you can get the latest information from us even when the power goes out. We have an ice storm warning for everyone within our viewing area because of this chance for significant icing and the fact that travel can become dangerous. Snow starts this morning for the mountains, and we have those cloudy skies overall, but don't get too excited because right after that, we've got sleet on the way as we head into those later hours toward dinner time. So that sleet will be in Waynesville, Brevard, also Asheville, as you see there in purple, Silva as well. Heading into the overnight hours, we get not just sleet, but freezing rain makes its way into the area around Waynesville and Silva, Asheville into Marion, seeing that sleet. Now, sleet bounces off of the road, whereas freezing rain leaves a glaze of ice on the ground. As we head into the morning hours on Sunday, everyone gets that chance for freezing rain, even into the upstate, as you see there in pink. But then some temperatures become above freezing around Bryson City and Robbinsville. You get a chance for rain on the way, as you see there in green and even yellow. We had a band roll through there about Sunday afternoon, and then we get cloudy skies on the way for your Sunday night. So don't be scared, just be prepared. You still have time throughout this morning to get your last minute things that you may need, whether it be cold weather gear like blankets or even some non-perishable food items. Hunker down by this afternoon. We've got that sleet turning to freezing rain, and that freezing rain is going to have the biggest of those impacts. Taking a look at our ice potential, could be a chance for some destructive ice impacts, especially for highlands and cachers above a ½ inch. Same for our centralmost region as well, places like Lake Toxaway and even into Brevard. And looking at our northeast region, still some of those destructive impacts, as you see there in both pink and purple. Same for the upstate. Northern upstate will receive a majority of this ice. So talking about ice accretion, when we get to about above a ½ inch, that's where we get those crippling conditions, and even about a ½ inch of ice could lead to 500 extra pounds on those power lines. That's why we get widespread and long power outages. Those 500 pounds, that's the equivalent to a North Carolina black bear. Taking a look at those feels like temperatures, we get an extra blow into Monday and even Tuesday. Chance for dangerous wind chills in the negatives. So make sure to bundle up, stay warm, and stay safe throughout these next few days, and make sure that you are in place throughout tonight and into your Sunday.
Thank you so much, Julia. And with those temperatures set to plunge, plumbers are bracing for a surge in calls, and homeowners could be paying the price. One local plumbing company says demand is already spiking as professionals race to prevent frozen and busted pipes that can cause serious and costly damage.
Business is booming at Port City Plumbing Supply, and they're busier than ever this week. Take these little pipe connectors. Normally, a plumber might grab a few all year. This week, they're walking out with dozens.
1-inch PVC, Schedule 40,
Chick Coleman and Haley Rogers say there's one reason professionals are gearing up to save customers' pipes as temps are expected to tumble soon.
Water's the only thing in nature that expands when it freezes. Everything else gets smaller, but water for some reason expands, causes a lot of damage, a lot of heartache.
And when that water expands inside your pipes, the damage can be devastating.
We've had $100,000 worth of damage done from water running in a house.
CFPUA spokesperson Cami Bellamy explains the sub-freezing temps are prime for busted pipes and budgets.
The real issue rises when the temperature gets down below freezing for several hours, especially into the 20s.
So what can you do? Bellamy says start with the basics. Drip your faucets overnight to keep that water moving.
We strongly recommend taking those preventative measures now, checking on any of your outdoor pipes, draining your irrigation system, things like that.
Back at Port City Plumbing, Rogers and Coleman say insulation around your pipes is also key. But use something like foam or rubber and shy away from newspaper or towels because they can get wet. And you guessed it, freeze.
Nobody wants damages, number one. Nobody wants to be without something as critical to our survival as water. And it's so easy to prevent.
Because if you don't take action now, you could not only be left without water, but facing a hefty plumbing bill and dealing with a massive headache.
Hendersonville's mayor has declared a state of emergency ahead of the winter storm that will bring dangerous ice and power outages. The declaration takes effect this morning at 8 and includes a citywide curfew aimed at keeping people off unsafe roads. As forecasters warn of up to an inch of ice, freezing rain, and sleet. A curfew will begin tonight at 8 p.m. and last until dawn on Sunday. Starting on Sunday, the curfew will run from dusk until dawn each night until the emergency ends. Officials urge residents to stay home, avoid travel, and review the full emergency order for curfew exemptions. All right, well, Julia, let's get one last final check for weather. I know we are hitting 8 o'clock. We are getting to those final hours. What should people be thinking about right now?
Yeah, I've got your headlines. Make your last-minute preparations now. It's better to be safe and making sure that you have all the things that you need to be prepared just in case if something does happen. There is a chance for significant power outages, especially as we get this ice accumulation throughout the next few days.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And as always, stay up to date with us on air and online at WLS.com, our YouTube page, news app. We are here for you. Stick with us and we will keep you updated through this ice storm. Please make sure to stay home and stay safe.